Tomorrow, tomorrow, I'll love ya tomorrow. The Amazon layoffs expose the myth of meritocracy. So if you haven't heard, today, Amazon announces they are laying off 16,000 corporate employees due to rising competition over AI. I mean, I knew this was going to happen, but I didn't think it would happen so quickly. But it's really fitting for a huge tech giant like Amazon to be the one to do it, because they're just so driven by the bottom line. But I'm not here to give you some boring take about how AI is taking all of our jobs, or how it's impossible to find a job, or how, you know, if you have your job right now, you should keep it because the market's bad. All that's true. But the thing I kind of want to talk about the most is how a lot of the people laid off were not low performers. This is why I've always believed that it's often better to be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in an ocean. From what I've seen in corporate environments, whenever you're a big fish in a small pond, and by that, it's pretty self-explanatory, somebody who went to a pretty good school, has some mental vitality to them, has a pretty good IQ, and they go to a company that's, let's say, 1,000 or less employees, that's a much better position than being somebody who went to MIT and then going to a FANG company, because stuff like this is happening more and more. And one thing I kind of want to do is give a optimistic slant to all of this. It's really easy to get bogged down, but I mean, if you really just try and play your cards right, you can win in this market. You still can win. You know, a lot of people are saying that there's only, there's 2 years left. There's 2 years left. I've heard that so much over the past couple days, how there's only 2 years left to really cross that threshold and be on the right side of the AI, like, space race, it feels like. I mean, I don't really think it's that extreme, to be honest. I think that if you play your cards right, and if you pick the right company, then you could still succeed in this market. Don't get me wrong, there are still huge advantages to being at these big Fortune 500 companies, namely like benefits, and also simply having it on your resume. That looks amazing, especially in the tech space. If you have a FANG company on your resume, then that just makes you look good. There's no bones about that. But it's really just how long can you withstand that and then pivot into a company that's more secure. That's the play in 2026. Layoffs aren't really performance based, they're spreadsheet based. Accounting doesn't see initiative, they don't see effort, they don't see the late nights that people put in, they don't see all the context that really makes all the gears turn and makes the company go. They see headcount, they see cost centers, they see projections, athletic decisions, aka corporate triage. Entire teams get wiped regardless of individual output. So stop attaching yourself to your work ethic, and you need to work smart and learn how to navigate this current job market, or else you're going to be left by the wayside. You know, you can be great at your job and still be on the wrong tab in Excel, meaning you can do everything right if you have a clone of you. Both of y'all are doing the same, and you could even do better than them, but your name just came up first, and that's just part and parcel of being a part of one of these huge companies. I mean, you are really just a number at the end of the day, so that's really the trade-off whenever you really do this. You know, it's still an amazing accomplishment to be able to get hired by one of these companies. No, you're doing your leak code, you're grinding every single day, but you know, you really got to kind of take a step back and be like, is this really the smartest decision? The reality of big companies is you're replaceable by design. Redundancy is intentional. Your impact is diluted, and leadership often doesn't even know your name. You can really think that you are just an amazing lion, like you are carrying the company. You'd be surprised if you leave tomorrow, your manager, their manager, like the whole company, they're really going to be okay. It's designed like that. This didn't happen by accident. Whereas on the other hand, in a smaller pond, your output is more visible. You have more narrative power. You can know your voice. Losing you actually hurts, and you're harder to just abstract away and just be left in the nether. You know, it's so funny. Some companies are so huge that there's entire teams that you just look at them and you're just like, dude, what the fuck do you do? It's kind of insane, actually. And another thing, I'm not saying small companies are better. I'm more saying that visibility and leverage matter more than prestige. Prestige doesn't protect you, leverage does. And this brings us to the inevitable, very boring but true, late stage capitalism and outsourcing. And it's so funny, I have some arguments with MAGA people. I have some friends who are MAGA adjacent, whatever. They want to call themselves moderate, but everybody knows moderate is probably worse than a Republican because they're just undercover Republicans who don't want to come out with it. They're pro-capitalism 100%, which, let me reiterate, I am pro-capitalism as well, just because I don't think that there's another system out there that's better than it, although I do think that we can get better. You know, okay, now that all those qualifiers are out the way. They say that they love capitalism so much, but isn't outsourcing low-key the conclusion of capitalism? Like, if capitalism is about just improving your bottom line, increasing revenue, doesn't it make sense that even if somebody in India can only do the job half as good as somebody in America, if they require a salary that's 1/10 of somebody in America, they're still going to pick that guy. They're still going to pick that guy. So to me, outsourcing, if you say you love capitalism so much, if you're like a right-wing person, which you know, I'm more of a center-left guy, but I still love my right-wing people. I mean, I don't know how you kind of square those two things. I would love to hear an argument. It's just like outsourcing isn't personal, it's mechanical. Like, it's part of why the system is. And talent is global now, and loyalty isn't. This creates job insecurity, wage pressure, internal competition, because it's just like, man, you're sitting next to your friend, but it's just like, I have a whole family, dude. If somebody's getting laid off, it's going to be you, not me. So we're stuck doing the rat race. Meanwhile, the fat cats at the top are just winning. They're like, I have seen, it's been a trend in the market that whenever these huge layoffs happen, the stock gets a huge green day one day after. It's because the company is seen as cutthroat, like, oh, they're making decisions, they are utilizing AI, they're cutting edge. It's also weird that, like, we are also investing in, like, our own failure, but we're really not, because we're really just small minnows. To go back to the big fish in a small pond, in another way, we're just a small minnows investing, you know, $1,000, you know, even $2,000, $5,000, where like the people who are really winning at the top, the whales, are putting billions and billions of dollars and moving it. I don't know, this is a crazy system. That being said, I have a Roth IRA, I have a 401k. It's just observations, and I'm just trying to stay kind of optimistic without being too doomer. I know I was saying that in the beginning, how I don't want to be too boomer. I don't want to be too boomer, but I don't want to be too doomer or boomer. I don't think this is necessarily evil. Corporations are responsible for a lot of innovation, and I get that, and that's why people want to come to this country. It's not all bad, but it's really just incentives doing what incentives do. And at the end of the day, the system doesn't care how hard you work, it cares how cheap the work can be done. And this comes to the next point, the death of meritocracy. I've seen so many stories about these Amazon layoffs of people who really were kind of rock stars and power users in their company, and they still got laid off indiscriminately, man. That's how you know that something is not right. Like, let me pull up this tweet. This is the only tweet of the video, and I'll just run through it really quick. From somebody named Amanda Goodall. The Amazon layoffs are getting pretty ugly. People are finding out they're gone in pieces. Access half working. Calendars erased before conversations happen. Leaders disappearing midday. Inboxes visible but locked. Work still paging after roles are dead. Like, imagine that. It's almost like a limb on your body like dying, but your body's still like pumping blood to it, and like your immune system being confused. Like, we have become so robotic and like less human, you know. I love technology. You know, some people may call me a bit of an autist, but the human element is extremely important, and that's what makes us special. That's what makes us God's creation. Continuing with the tweet, this isn't performative. This isn't performance based. Profitable teams were hit. Top performers were hit. Entire management layers are gone while systems kept running like nothing changed. What the fuck? Timing isn't random either. The cuts happened just before major vesting windows. Remote and non-hub workers were basically wiped out first. Some are being nudged into relocation choices and so on. The survivors aren't relieved either. So many are already looking for another job, probably much to Amazon's chagrin. This is what efficiency looks like in practice. Maximum silence, minimum explanation, zero accountability. If you think this is about trimming due to COVID overhiring or H-1Bs, you're missing the point. This is structural, and corporates are full steam ahead in the revolution. Yeah, something big is gonna happen, dude. Something big is definitely gonna happen. Whenever it comes to the meritocracy stuff, I mean, merit helps you stay once you're safe. It doesn't always help you survive instability. Unless you're at a smaller company. Then you could be the freaking rock star that you want to be. That comes with its own struggles. Maybe it's harder to make a high salary immediately. But if you make yourself irreplaceable enough, I mean, I think that you can still get there. I don't know, there's many ways to skin a cat. But, you know, what people should really take from this, no advice sermon, just perspective. Don't outsource your self-worth to a company. Optimize for skills, visibility, and optionality. Always be learning on the job, always learn on the job, and always keep your options open. Like, that's always going to be something that's going to help you in any negotiation, whether it comes to buying a car, dating, or whatever. You always have to keep your options open. Be aware of where you sit on the org chart. Be aware of how replaceable your function is, and sometimes less prestige equals more control. I'm not anti-work or anti-capitalism. I'm just realistic.